Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is John McGregor from Foundation Expo 88 and the 25th anniversary of World Expo 88 People's Committee. We're continuing our special series of focus videos in the lead up to the 25th anniversary of World Expo 88 next year in 2013. And today we have this very special guest, Mr. James McCormick, MBE, who is widely known as the chief protagonist for World Expo 88, as well as having an illustrious career in architecture, spanning several expos from Expo 67 Montreal to Expo 70 Osaka to Expo 74 Spokane, as well as being joint chief architect for World Expo 88. And today we're delving deep into James's memory, getting some of the inside stories into the very early beginnings to some of the movers and shakers behind getting Brisbane officially accepted as host city for the 1988 World Exposition. And in those early days, you approached the Brisbane Chamber of Commerce, Tom Barrell, is that right?
Yes, John. That was a very crucial, important step to take. Of course, there are a number of people before that who eventually introduced me to Tom Barrell.
Right.
But it was with the Chamber of Commerce's support back around 1976.
Right.
That 77, that the businessmen of Brisbane were brought together to show what an expo could be really all about and how it was developed in other cities before that.
Right.
So Tom Barrell had a very important role to play in those early years.
And later on there was some discussion also with Sir Frank Moore of the Queensland Travel and Tourist Corporation as well. How did he become involved?
I have no idea, frankly. I should know, but I don't. But to my surprise, suddenly, Sir Frank was involved, and I thought to myself, isn't this great? It's such an important businessman. Running the Tourist and Travel Corporation, what an asset really that is. So I introduced myself to him, and he said, Jim, you're doing a tremendous job, and thanks very much for all you've done, but I'm going to give you as much support as I can. I'll be in touch. But I can't remember where that led to, because I never saw him again. I didn't have his support. I didn't seek his support. He was already involved.
Right.
With the merchant banker.
Right.
David Grainer.
Yes.
And together those two put the financial deal together, which made the whole thing possible.
Right.
We didn't have to go to the Commonwealth Government, cap in hand, and ask for money.
Yes.
They were going to do it independently themselves.
And in the midst of all this, there are some other people who are also coming to the story. For example, Kathy Martin. What was her role?
Well, Kathy Martin was a friend of mine, and she introduced me to the Deputy Prime Minister down in Canberra, and I was able to go down there, meet with him and explain the ideas again we had for Brisbane.
Right.
And I can't remember the names of these 4 or 5 other VIPs in the Senate and House of Representatives that I met and discussed the project with. But they listened attentively, and who knows what influence that actually had in later years with people, because this whole thing, as far as I was concerned, was spanning 1976 to 83.
Yes.
Where they're trying to get people involved. And I always remember saying, isn't it interesting, in other cities having expos, generally there is a mayor or a premier who started the whole thing and follows the whole thing right through to the end.
Yes.
But in the case of Brisbane, it's a...
Well, you really started it all, didn't you?
Well, I guess you're right. I guess you're right, but I'm not a premier.
Yes, yes.
But I think we were searching for who is that person who's going to take this up and go right through from beginning to end.
Well, you were a very early lobbyist in that sense and an advocate for Expo.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just for our viewers, Kathy Martin, what was her official position? She was a state government parliamentarian?
She was that's right. I think she was a federal...
a federal politician, right. Right. And she introduced you to Phil Lynch, is that right?
Yes.
And what was his role?
Well, he was just one of the many people who the idea was planted with.
Right.
Who we didn't know whether he was going to help or not, but we thought it was nice to have him on side as well.
Right.
He'll know what it's all about.
And he was with the Queensland government, or...?
He was a federal politician.
Another federal politician, right.
He was Deputy Prime Minister.
Oh, okay, certainly. Okay, well, thank you very much, Jim, for that little short vignette. I hope that's given our viewers a bit of extra insight into the early machinations behind getting Brisbane to host World Expo 88, and we look forward to you viewing our next video shortly on youtube.com/Foundation Expo 88. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jim.